Hey guys, it's Tatiana Draws. This is day 2 of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, and today I'm going to talk about my influences, how they've evolved, and how I ended up making the comic you're seeing on the screen today. So I guess my earliest influences were superheroes, because when I was a kid, that's what was big, the very first Spider-Man movies. Stuff like that. And because of the very first Spider-Man movies, my parents encouraged reading, so I'd go to the library a lot as a kid, and at the library there were comic books, and so I grew up reading the Spider-Man Ultimate, X-Men Ultimate, Spider-Man and X-Men Ultimate comic books, some Power Pack comic books, just whatever I could get my hands on that said superhero. I would just absorb that for a little bit. Batman, Superman, not really Superman, X-Men, definitely X-Men. I was really into just because it had more diversity, I guess. I'm not trying to get political, but it had more diversity, more diverse cast, more interesting cast. And then I think about 3rd grade I got into manga. I don't remember the first manga I read, but I was reading shit I definitely should not have been reading. Like Mars, I remember looking back, I probably should not have been reading Mars in elementary school, but I was. Yeah, I love manga. I love the art style. I could never. I felt like because I went through. I always was back and forth. I was always conflicted. My styles would always jump between American and manga, and I could never pick one because I never knew what kind of story I wanted to tell. Like I would always just end up telling an American story with a manga style, and to me that didn't make sense. And my manga style never really developed past like a middle school look for me, so I just decided to develop my American style, which is still somewhat influenced by a Japanese style, I would say, just because the American artists that I look up to, like Holly Brown, Tyson Heath, Babs Tarr, people like that have a lowish. People like that definitely still have a Japanese. Brie Pie still definitely have a Japanese influence to them. So my work is still somewhat influenced by Japanese. You just can't see it. But the stuff I look at, Camilla Derico, I can't say her last name. The stuff I look at is still definitely influenced by manga. But I don't know, I just felt like I was better at telling an American story. So that's what I stuck to. Eventually, I went through a Star Wars phase. I went through a really heavy X-Men phase in middle school. Like that got me into like I was more dealing with the whole feeling like an outsider type of thing. The X-Men kind of got me through that. I was into like stuff like Inuyasha a little bit. You can see how there was like a jump between American and manga. There's stuff like that. And then I got into high school and I kind of left all the manga behind because I kind of left all those friends behind that were into it. And so I went back to the shit I knew, which was Watchmen. And well, I read Watchmen for the first time my freshman year of high school in a new state. We'd moved to a new state, and that got me back into American comic books, and I started reading stuff like Punk Rock Jesus, Umbrella Academy. Looking at my shelf right now. Wicked and Divine. I got into bands like My Chemical Romance and started reading all kinds of stuff from like fan recommendations. I'd found people on Twitter that were artists and followed, and just started this following online artists, and then eventually what led me to this comic was an idea I had my sophomore year. So my sophomore year, I took a cartooning and animation class, and for one of our assignments we had to make a comic book. And so this was the idea I came up with was XO, which I explained in the first video. It was very different. Well, not very different. The characters looked very. I still have the first book. The characters looked very different, but the premise. I don't think Ravencorp was called Ravencorp, but there was still the names. Jackie was still a thing. XO was still a thing. I don't think Scale Kid was a thing, but the premise to take down a corporation was a thing. Raven wasn't a young guy, he was an old dude. I'm spoiling a lot of the comic right now, I realize, but yeah, and then I made that, and it was a terrible first draft. You say what you want about this, but I think it's improved over my first draft, and I had the idea stuck in my head for 2 years, so I figured I might as well run with it, because I've had it stuck in my head for 2 years. So I decided when I got my first digital comic, or digital, I got my first tablet, which is the one I'm still using. I'm saving up for another one. And when I got my first tablet, that's what I got it for, was I need to make a comic. And after years and years, I ended up here. And now we have XO. That's all I really have to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.